What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. So round 3 is over. There are only 4 teams playing this round, which is such a shame, but we did get to see some great rugby nonetheless. So we're going on to Team of the Week number 3. Before we kick this one off, I will let people know I enjoyed the Wales-England game so much, and I feel there was so much to unpack in that game. I am going to be doing a bit of a breakdown video for that, so that will be going on the channel probably a little bit later this week. That's a bit hard. I have to sort of get a bit of a script together, watch the game a couple of times, get a few points and get some footage for you guys to actually watch in the background, so it's not just my voice. But that'll be coming out later in the week, so for anyone who's just joining this channel, fancies a bit more of rugby breakdown rather than just saying information at you, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But the Team of the Week is something we do every week now for the Six Nations, where we go through players that have impressed me. This isn't the official team. This isn't who played the best because they made the most meters or they made the most tackles, therefore they're the best. It's just people who actually impressed me in the game from each team. And what a bit of a shame for this one. I thought I was going to be able to pick so many Italian players. I thought 2 teams missing out this week. There was every chance I could have some more Italian players, but unfortunately Ireland were absolutely dominant in that game. So we'll have to see how we get on in terms of Italian players for this one. So starting off, number 1 at the loose head. A couple of people here that stood out to me. Wyn Jones again had a good game. I thought he was pretty sound all round in terms of tackling. Defensive work rate was good, including the attacking was also good for him. The only reason I'm not going to pick Wyn Jones today was because of that little bit that he had. He gave away 1 penalty, kind of close to the 22, and then also, of course, he had that guard mishap, not watching Ben Youngs, and it led to the Ben Youngs try. Wyn Jones not following where he's going to go, but there's one person that absolutely stood out to me. It was the first name I wrote down on this sheet. Kilcoyne. What a game that man had. He wanted to kill people. He was just smashing people. Tackle rate was huge. Running rate was great. He got turnovers. I think he was fantastic all round. Absolutely no negatives to say against his game. Thought he was absolutely brilliant. So Kilcoyne is going to be my loose head. Number 2 at hooker. I've got one name and one name only written down here. Kelleher. All day long. That guy had a fantastic game. There was a big call about whether or not they would swap him out for the Italian game, of course. He's been sort of like the second string at the minute, but Kelleher, so good in this game. Absolutely running rampant against that Italy team, making huge meters, taking 2 men at a time to tackle him. Lineouts were fantastic. Some of the outrageous lineouts, throwing it long over the top of the lineout. Superb throwing. Fantastic at the scrums. Brilliant. He's my number 2. Number 3 at the tight head. Not a lot of choices for this one. I don't really think anyone showed off. Tyg Furlong did okay, but gave away quite a few penalties when it wasn't really necessary or wasn't doing the best tackles I've seen him do. Italy just unfortunately weren't really in it. Kyle Sinclair wasn't terrible, but didn't do anything to me to stand out. So I think in terms of work rate and work ethic, I'm going to give my tight head to Tom Francis. Definitely picked up a couple of injuries in that game, had his head bandaged up, looking like the Michelin Man by the end of that game, but stayed on the field, some superb tackles. Don't think he had any penalties against him, actually. He was pretty sound all round. So number 3, I'm going to give to Tom Francis. Into the locks, number 4. There was, again, not a lot of people standing out for me number 4 wise. I did have Itoje written down here, and I know Itoje had a bad game. He had 5 penalties against him, which is a lot to give away for one person. But so many of those penalties were 50-50, and some of the work rate that he did that was in the positive side was so good. Tackle rate huge. He had 2 fantastic charge downs, one that almost led to a try had it not been for Liam Williams getting back. So he did do good work, but those penalties for me just knocked him down a couple of pegs. So for me, Ian Henderson had a really good game. As you can imagine, there's probably going to be quite a few Irish people in here. But Ian Henderson was pretty sound all round, good in the lineouts, good in terms of rucks, and even got himself a try that just no one decided to look at. The TMO decided not to look back at that. Definitely was a try, but unfortunately he didn't get that one. So I'm going to give Ian Henderson my number 4 shirt. Number 5, again, people trying to put their hands up here. I think James Ryan was the only name I had written down here. I think he was sound all round. I think James Ryan has to have my number 5 shirt. Again, lineouts were good. For me, has been a bit of a penalty vacuum in the past. Just loved sucking up all those penalties, but this game was good. Discipline was much better than I expected from him. I think I only saw 1 or 2 penalties against him in this game, whereas there's usually about 4 or 5. Much better. Alan Wyn had an alright game, but again, just penalties, pointless penalties he didn't need against him. And to be honest, I think James Ryan stands out as number 5. Into the flankers, number 6. 2 names written down here. For me, I think Navidi had a good game. I think Navidi was very good tackle-wise, defensively sound. We know Navidi is good. A very good game. It was always going to be a defensive game for Wales going up against England, so I think he played very, very well and was definitely leading the charge there. But for me, my number 6 has to go to Tadhg Beirne. Again, like he was in that first week, he's back on good form now. Tackle rate, but also aggressive running is just superb from him. He nearly got himself over that try line a couple of times. You could see he just stretching for that line on the crash balls was so good. The pick and drives was good for him, as well as helping the team out. He also got a turnover and a line out, and even being able to help push people like CJ Stander over that try line. Doing good work all round. So to me, Tadhg Beirne, number 6. Number 7, the most competitive shirt for me probably this weekend. I thought Johan Meyer, I thought he was going to take it. He was playing so well. Got himself a try. He was doing well at line-outs. Good in terms of turnovers. Good in terms of tackling. I thought Johan Meyer did really well. I thought there was going to be an Italian there at my number 7. Tom Curry, I thought, also had a good game. Work ethic is very, very good. Just had a few penalties, which for me is why I dropped him down. Pointless penalties going, just doing it for no reason. But to me, the standout number 7, Will Connors. Is that the best game anyone's ever seen Will Connors had? I was quite surprised when he got named in this team, actually. I thought Van der Fleer's playing pretty sound, and even Rhys Ruddock was doing well. I'm not sure how well Rhys Ruddock can move to 7. Maybe Rhys Ruddock would have come on at 6, and Tadhg Beirne could have gone to 7. I don't know the logistics of players moving around in that Irish team in the flanker positions, but Will Connors, what a game. 2 tries, running all over the place, looking absolutely dangerous. And if I was Van der Fleer, I'd be very worried about getting my number 7 shirt back. So to me, there's one standout guy, and I'm so sorry it's not Johan Meyer, but it has to be Will Connors. Number 8, again, not a great deal of choices here. There were 2 standouts for me, one being Faletau. I've seen the stats after the game. I have no idea how his stats are quite so high. I think he had something insane, like 100 running metres. Because I am doing the breakdown video for the England-Wales game, I have rewatched it. I can't find at all where he's made those 100 metres, but apparently he has. Tackle rate was good. Doing the hard graft, he was the second man into an awful lot of tackles, but just to ensure the ball goes down, stopping that quick ball out. He did have a little bit of a tackle on Hardy at one point, but I think he had a good game. But for me, again, number 8, as I think he has been, it might have been once or twice, I can't even think what I did for my other team of the weeks. Number 8 has to go to CJ Stander. Just a monster. I think he could be trying to put his hand up for player of the tournament at the minute. He is doing so well in that number 8 shirt. It's so weird to see a number 8 play in the backfield so much, but you see that ball come down into the backfield, little pop pass, and he just runs it 30 metres upfield to try and kill someone, whoever's in front of him. CJ Stander doing good work. Got 1 try, could have got 2. Bit of a harsh call from the referee there to disallow him in the second try, but to me, CJ Stander deserves number 8. Onto your scrum halves. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Stephen Varney in there because, of course, he went out with an injury quite early on. We did get to see Callum Brayley come in, which is nice to see, but didn't have particularly the best game. There was some good passing for him, but nothing too stand out. Gibson Park did his job fine. It was a lot of passing. There was no real extra thing I saw from Jameson Gibson Park. It's pretty much the set thing you need from a scrum half is you need to pass well. He did it, fine, but I didn't see anything else from him. So the 2 contenders for me here are Youngs and Hardy, and I think Hardy had a relatively good second half. I don't think he had a good first half, which might be a bit controversial, seeing as he did get himself that a great try, superb work, taking the full advantage of the tap and go, making the most of it. Breaking through while Elliot Daly wasn't paying attention, getting a try is superb work from Hardy. Think he did well there. And the second half for him was definitely impressive. The box kicks were a little all over the place for me. I'm not sure what he was going for. There was obviously a Wales plan to keep the ball within the field rather than kick it into touch. But to me, some of the box kicks that he kept infield were either just too long that didn't really allow a defender to get on the person who's going to capture the ball, or they were a little bit too short. They didn't really make a lot of ground. So to me, I'm going to give my number 9 to Ben Youngs, who I did say needed to have a good game, and in all honesty, I think he did. He was probably one of the few people that really stood out in the England team to me that actually played a good game. All of his box kicks were pretty on point in terms of distance, making good meters, having to make the backfield players run in. Good attacking run. He was good speed from the ruck. He was probably one of the few real attacking options he had. Got himself that clever try as well from the 22. The little show and go, showing off to Wyn Jones and getting through the line. He's always a big threat. So to be honest, I think fair play to Ben Youngs. He proved himself there. I'm going to give my number 9 to Ben Youngs. Number 10 was a weird position. People playing better all round, I think we would say, in terms of fly half. Fly halves have been very poor this Six Nations, so it was interesting to see a couple of people stand up. Garbisi played quite well, but I just think became a bit of a one-man army. I don't know whether he's getting sick of being the only real attacking threat in that Italian team. There were so many times he was doing a counter run, almost playing a bit like Stuart Hogg, catching the ball in the backfield, and even though you've got 3 or 4 players on your outside, just running it into a tackle. So I think he needs to maybe improve his game in terms of just a bit of teamwork, but I think he had a good game overall, and his kicking was pretty decent. Ford wasn't bad. I haven't got too many negatives to say about Ford, but also nothing hugely standing out. Dan Biggar improved his kicking game immensely, as did Sheedy. I actually think Sheedy had a better attacking game in his mind than Biggar. But Biggar, of course, got that crossfield kick to Josh Adams. So, there's a couple of different things there. I think this will probably be the shirt. Everyone will probably have a different one. For me, I'm going to pick just competency all round. I'm going to go for Johnny Sexton. Played the full 80 minutes, had a terrible game in his first game in the Six Nations, got out with an injury. There was questions whether he was going to come back. There was questions whether people would take over. But he came on to this game, orchestrated very well from the backs, guided people where they needed to be, played the full 80. Kicking percentage was superb, really improved on his kicking towards the post from how he's done in the Six Nations so far, and in terms of attack and running ability, very, very good. So overall, I think I'm going to give it to Johnny Sexton. Moving further back, number 11. Did anyone put their hand up for number 11? I don't think I saw Johnny May touch the ball. James Lowe spent more of his time in rucks and mauls than on the wing. I have no idea what he was doing. To be honest, Ioni on the wing for Italy didn't have a terrible game. There was just not a lot he could do. He just didn't get the ball. No one was giving it to him. Every time he had the ball, he was pretty much behind his own try line to begin with. So not a lot he could do. So only one name written down here, not because I think they were super standouts, but out of the 11s was definitely the best to me. Has to go to Josh Adams. Of course, this comes 3 days after I say I'm not sure if Josh Adams has his international head screwed on right, but he proved me wrong. It's good for him. Got that try from the crossfield kick, did well. Defensive work was good, actually. Josh Adams' defence work has always been a bit of a flaw in his game. Very good attacker, but defence not brilliant. But there were some superb tackles in there, taking people into touch, getting those last man tackles in when it needs to happen. So for me, number 11, Josh Adams. Number 12 had a couple of different competitors for different reasons. This will be a shirt people will have slightly differently. Jonathan Davis didn't really do that much for me. Farrell definitely improved. Kicking percentage to post, not the best, but it's definitely an improvement. His attacking game was a little bit better. There was a lot of arm flailing from him, but you can sort of give him a bit of credit for that. There were some big calls in that game, so I can sort of understand why Owen Farrell was, and the interview he had at the end of the game, I thought he held himself very professionally. Maybe you get a man of the match reward for just handling that interview correctly. I thought Halaholo played well, coming on in that second half. Again, very soundly defensive. He's really beginning to prove himself in that number 12 shirt. I think he's very good all around the park, to be honest, doing very well. I think Henshaw had quite a good game. I think out of the two centres, Ringrose definitely impressed me a little bit more than Henshaw, but did the job he needed to do. A couple of good crash balls coming off of that 12. A shame we didn't get to see him run slightly more with it. And then finally, Carlo Canner, I thought, was probably one of the few standouts in that Italian team. Defensive work was sound. He actually missed very few tackles. He was really on the ball for a defensive strategy. Just unfortunately, the rest of the team around him really struggled. I have gone back and looked at some of the highlights from that game, and in almost every bit of key action you can see from Italy, even in terms of going up to the Johan Meyer try, it could have been Canner getting the try had the ball gone wider. He was involved in mauls, he was involved in attacking, and defensively was pretty sound. Was the last man getting to some of those tackles that led to tries, unfortunately. Wasn't there to be able to stop them enough. So I think this will be a different shirt for different people for different reasons. I want an Italian. I want an Italian. I haven't had an Italian yet in my team of the week, and I feel so bad, but I actually think Carlo Canner played a really good game for Italy. He was the standout player for me on the Italian team. Whether he was the best number 12 of the round, I think that's up to interpretation for different reasons. I think Halaholo and Henshaw could be in different people's teams, but for me, I'm going to pick Carlo Canner. I want an Italian in there. This is the best chance he's going to have, and I actually think Carlo Canner had a relatively good game in order to deserve being that number 12. Number 13, the old outside centre. There's a couple of people here as well putting their hand up. Thought North did well. I keep thinking North isn't going to do too well in that 13 channel, and I wish he was on that right wing, but he is beginning to prove himself now in that 13 shirt. He's had about a year and a half trying to play 13 in Wales, and he's slowly just beginning to get the grasp of it. People know how dangerous he can be, and he's in form currently. So I think he's doing well. Henry Slade, I thought had a good game. Fantastic running lines, finding those gaps. He was one of the few people actually opening up the Wales defence a little bit. Thought he had a good game all round. And finally, the last 13 for me would be Ringrose. Think he was doing well. Got himself a try. Good line picking. Out of the three, again, different reasons why different people pick each player. But for me, I'm going to go for Ringrose. I think he did very well in that 13 shirt. He was definitely an attacking threat. They knew as soon as he got from a set piece, he was going to be a bit of a nuisance. He even got himself that good try, stepping on the inside of Uoni and managing to get that try. I think he played well all round, and he's a good attacking game. And in fact, he's having a real good tournament, Ringrose. Very, very impressive. So Ringrose is going to take my 13. At 14, a couple of big people putting their hands up here as well. Keith Earls and Jordan Lama both had good games in each half on that 14 shirt for them. Anthony Watson managing to actually get himself a try. Arguable forward pass. We'll cover that in my breakdown video, whether that try should have been allowed. But I think he managed to do all right in that attack. But again, the ball just did not get out to him enough for him to do anything. About 50 minutes in, he still had a clean shirt. So would have liked to have seen a little bit more from him rather than just getting that try. But for me, the standout again for the second week in a row, Louis Rees-Zammit, just having a superb tournament. Although, I think if you look at his stats, you might not get an awful lot of him, but the work rate he did, there were so many tackles he made where he got man and ball where it needed to be made. There was a brilliant one in the 22 on Elliot Daly, taking the man and the ball, stops that ball getting any further out, stopped it going to Johnny May, which could have led to a try. Managed to have that breakaway run where Sheedy kicked it on, chased the ball 80 metres up the field, outran both Watson and Johnny May for the ball, and could have got himself a try had it not been for that awkward bounce of the ball. I think overall defensively and attack he's doing really well, and again another person that could be putting his hand up for player of the tournament. So to me, I'm going to give that to Rees-Zammit. And finally at fullback, number 15, one name and one name only, because in all honesty, I think 15's had a terrible game all round. Elliot Daly had a travesty of a game. He was nowhere in that game. Liam Williams did get himself a try, making a bit of progress to chase after the ball, but ultimately didn't see a lot from him. He was the last man to make both tackles on the England tries and stop neither of them. Should do better, really. And then, unfortunately, Trula is just nowhere. I think he's going to have trouble holding on to that 15 shirt. So for me, 15 has to go to Keenan, the only man left standing out in that 15 shirt, proving he's doing his job well. Managed to get himself a try as well. Great running lines. I think everyone would probably pick Keenan at 15. But for me, absolutely Keenan, standout 15 at fullback. So there is my team of the week, guys. Make sure you drop down in the comments who made your 1 to 15. A couple of people got a little bit irritated again last week with some of my picks, but that's how it is. Everyone's got a different team of the week. So make sure you just drop down in the comments who you guys thought did well in your 1 to 15 shirts. So we will quickly look at the fantasy leagues for those who are involved with the Super Brew Fantasy that we've been getting going on. I have moved up to 3rd in the fantasy. I had quite a good round picking a lot of the Irish players. So the top 3 now, Rodri still standing at the top, Dan in 2nd place, I'm coming for you Dan, and finally me in 3rd. But it's definitely close between sort of 1st and 6th place. There's only about 60 points in it, which isn't a lot in terms of these games. You can get a big score. Picking that right captain can make all the difference. For those of you who didn't see the podcast, me, Rod, and Dan did do a podcast at the end of round 2. We might look to do one at the end of the Six Nations or something. So there'll probably be some talks about the Fantasy League in there as well. And then quickly a final look at the predictor, to which Sam still finds himself at the top doing well. I finally managed to catch up to Maddie after that decisions. I actually screwed myself out of this completely. For those of you who watched the preview video I did for the Italy-Ireland game, this is what I said. So I'm going to call an Ireland win, and I've got a feeling this could actually be a little bit closer to the France marker. I'm going to call Ireland to win by 38 is going to be my prediction for this game. And of course, that game did end exactly 38. So, like an idiot, I of course didn't ever put this into the predictor. I forgot to do it because I was too worried about my other fantasy team and completely forgot till the game had kicked off. So I didn't get to put it in. So I should have 3 points more and should be winning, and I'm not. So well done, Sam. You're absolutely winning this because I'm an idiot and I forget to do things. So it could be still close. I mean, it's 1 round away. Who knows? That 3 points is very easy to come by from one game, so it's one correct call. So, like I said, guys, I will be doing a breakdown video for the Wales-England game, so that'll be coming on the channel later in the week. So make sure you subscribe just to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they're coming out. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. Make sure you drop your team down in the comments below. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.